The Auburn Tigers and coach Hugh Freeze have been absolutely on fire when it comes to the recruiting trail. Recently, they flipped linebacker DeMarcus Riddick, who's a 5-star, by the way, from Georgia to Auburn. And they had their Big Cat weekend this past weekend, and Hugh Freeze goes ahead and flips 5-star wide receiver Perry Thompson from Alabama, the rival, to Auburn. So Auburn right now, they're cooking. They're cooking it in a very big way, and I think we need to take a step back and just say, what does this actually mean for Auburn? Because it's great to land 2 5-stars. It's great that you're seeing some positive trajectory under Hugh Freeze on the recruiting trail, but what does this actually mean? We'll talk about it here in a second. Auburn faithful, had a lot of y'all join the party recently, but make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. We are live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. If you want to get the full hour-long episodes of the Hard Count right here, you can get those on podcasts. You can get them also on the YouTube channel, but you can get them on Apple, get them on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us. Go ahead and type in the Hard Count with J.D. Piquel. Appreciate you so much in advance for that. So back to the original question, what does this actually mean? And I think when you look at the impact, there's a ton of excitement. And the excitement in my mind should be who you flipped these cats from. No pun intended. You flipped them from Bama, you flipped them from Georgia. And this just re-emphasizes to me what the standard is at Auburn and what's possible at Auburn. Because there's so much made about what Auburn has been like the last couple of years under Brian Harsin and how they've recruited. Like, Auburn is not setting their sights any lower because of that unfortunate year and a half under Brian Harsin. They're not saying, oh, okay, we're a 7-win football team, 6-win football team. We're not here just to win 8 games, shake hands, and say, good year, boys. Let's go play in our bowl game. Like, the standard is still the standard at Auburn. They want to win SEC titles. To do that, they want to beat Georgia and probably have to beat Bama to get to Atlanta and to ultimately, win what they want to win. So what I'm saying for Alabama and for Georgia to have lost those recruits to Auburn, I think it just kind of shows, okay, Hugh Freeze, now you're going to have to deal with him on the recruiting trail. And it doesn't guarantee that you're going to beat Bama or beat Georgia in the future, but it's a strong, I think, trajectory. Again, there's that word, trajectory. It's a strong trajectory and a strong picture of what Hugh Freeze is starting to do at Auburn. And I think it also, we talked about it on our previous live show last Thursday, this speaks to the horsepower that is in place at Auburn. Like, yes, the recency bias is going to tell you that Auburn is kind of in a bounce back phase, and that's fine. But the Auburn logo doesn't need any propping up in these kids' mind. Like, these kids have seen Auburn win a national title and play for another national title in their lifetime. It's not a matter where you have to really sell them, hey, here's the vision at Auburn we're eventually going to get here. It's like, no. The vision has been a reality before. You're just trying to tell these kids to come be a part of the revamp. It's not going to be the first time they do it if they go win an SEC title. It's not going to be like new territory for them. They've done that before. It's now trying to sell these kids to get back in on Auburn. And that was the frustration previously under Brian Harsin. Hey, there's so much resources here. There's so much horsepower here. This logo, this brand, there's so much power here. Can we get it moving in the right direction? Can we have some sense of urgency? And now seeing Hugh Freeze be on campus for all of like 10 minutes and have a top 5 portal class and now flip 2 5-stars from SEC powers, like, yeah, there's a sense of urgency there. Hugh Freeze is here to take names and to take over. So what does this actually mean when it comes to the, competitive aspect for Auburn when it comes to Saturdays? Does 2 5-stars in your 2024 cycle guarantee an SEC title? Conventional wisdom would say probably not, but I think it goes back to that point of where Auburn is right now. Auburn is building. They're still building under Hugh Freeze, but the neighborhood that they were building in under Brian Harsin and the neighborhood they're building in right now under Hugh Freeze are 2 very different places. Hugh Freeze now has Auburn building in a neighborhood with 4 and 5-star talent. And Auburn's not unfamiliar with this territory, but I tell you what, it's nice to be back. It's nice to have a head coach that is going to build with those kind of pieces and build in that range of talent. And that's really what it's about for Auburn when it comes to competing on Saturdays and beating Georgia and beating Bama. It's about being in range from a talent standpoint. Because will Auburn in the next 5 years have a better roster than Bama or Georgia? I mean, I don't know. Maybe in the next 3 years, you'd probably say the way that Georgia has recruited, the way that Bama has recruited, they have some momentum right now, and they have typically had the better rosters. You would imagine they will probably have the better rosters. But that's not what it's about. It's not about having a better roster. It's about, can you be in range? Alabama is a great example of this. The game against LSU that Alabama lost, Alabama had the better roster. They had more talent. Still got beat. Game against Tennessee, Alabama recruited better than Tennessee. No ifs, ands, or buts. They had the better roster that day. Still held that L. So why were these teams able to be competitive? They weren't rolling out there with 2 stars. They had recruited well enough to be in range to where when you got in the door on that Saturday afternoon and they lined it up, you had enough talent to where if you executed your game plan and you put the game back into the decision-making of your coaches and the execution of your players, we're going to be okay. And that's what I think Auburn is driving towards, having landed 2 5-stars and recruiting the way they're recruiting right now. The impact for what it means on the recruiting trail for them, I think the biggest thing I would say is it removes anxiety. So much is made of, whenever a big-time recruit commits to a school, well, hey, a lot of kids are going to want to go play with them. Yeah, that's true. But I don't think that's the complete thought. In my humble opinion, the answer to that is it removes the anxiety of what would be a new thing. Because this is how we operate as humans. We see something new and we like to see somebody else go first before we sign on, right? So you see 2 5-star individuals flip from other SEC powers to go play for Hugh Freeze. If you're an uncommitted kid and you're looking at Auburn, before you maybe felt, well, I don't know what Auburn's going to be under Hugh Freeze. Yeah, he's got a strong track record of success, but last regime at Auburn under Brian Harsin wasn't too strong. How long is that going to take? You see these 2 5-star kids commit, you say, okay, that thing's headed the right direction. They're going to be on the roster, and they had options to go to Georgia or to go to Bama. Like, okay, and they're deciding to be a part of that. Maybe I want to take a closer look at Auburn. Maybe I feel a little bit better about signing up to be a part of what's being built there, because they're going to have talent now. They got these 2 kids there. They're going to be talented as a team. Maybe this thing has some legs. So for Auburn, they're still in the hunt for KJ Bolden. KJ Bolden told Hayes Fawcett that Auburn is in his top 2. If Hugh Freeze goes out and lands KJ Bolden, I mean, I don't want to say build the statue in front of Jordan Hare, but you would at least start looking into maybe some real estate to where you could put a statue. We're exaggerating, okay? We're having some tongue-in-cheek talk right now, but you hear what I'm saying. Hugh Freeze is cooking. Hugh Freeze has Auburn building in a territory they're familiar with but haven't been in some time. And having 2 5-stars commit, yeah, kids want to come play with them, but I think even more so speaks to the direction of Auburn, which removes anxiety for recruits to sign up and be a part of what's being built there. So keep an eye on Auburn now, especially if they win some games this coming season and have something to sell to recruits from a Saturday perspective. Like, look out, look out. Also worth noting, KJ Bolden committing on this very channel. So subscribe to the On3 YouTube channel if for no other reason you don't want to miss KJ Bolden's commitment. All right? So with that being said, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.